one of the largest sinkholes in the world. 160 feet deep and a quarter-mile wide, baby. Welcome back to my channel. You guessed it, it's me, I'm Lauren. Today we're going to be talking about food and inflammation and how they relate to each other. Side note, there are different types of inflammation, different ways that they occur in the body, reasons why, what exactly they do, and how it affects the body, and some of different related symptoms. Today we are just going to speak on inflammation as a whole. There are two different types of inflammation. The first one being acute inflammation, the second being chronic inflammation. So the difference is quite a difference. Acute inflammation is caused from things like cuts or scrapes, broken bones, pulled muscles, things of that nature. And this triggers inflammation that provides a sort of cushion for the healing process to begin. That's acute inflammation. So this is going to be found in different disorders like Alzheimer's or arthritis, autoimmune diseases, even cancer. And this type of inflammation is triggered in a different way that causes bad things to happen. So that's chronic inflammation. The question is, why is there a difference in acute and chronic? Why are there two different kinds in the first place? So our body produces inflammatory and anti-inflammatory chemicals that go throughout our bloodstream. And these kinds of inflammation, they are going to respond naturally to injury and illness. They're going to respond naturally to good vitamins and good substances in the body, and at the same time they're going to respond naturally to bad vitamins and bad substances in the body. And why do such things happen to our beautiful body? Well, there's quite a few different reasons why inflammation even occurs in the first place. Physical inactivity, the less we move, the less anti-inflammatory chemicals we produce in our blood, which means that when our body is in motion, we produce anti-inflammatory chemicals for our blood to go throughout our body. If we're not moving around, we're causing all of that to squish up into one little spot, and that's what causes pain. Obesity and diet, believe it or not, is also something that causes inflammation. This is going to be a diet that is high in saturated fats, high in trans fats, high in refined sugars. Side note really quick, refined sugars and unrefined sugars actually have a complete difference and a complete opposite effect on our body. So refined sugars are going to be things like white sugars, or the sugar found in cakes and donuts and stuff that you can just buy at any store. The reason why these sugars cause bad things to happen to our body, like inflammation, is because they are 99.5% sugar, which means that they're only 0.5% water. Whereas, flip the script, refined sugars are quite the opposite. They're sitting at 10 to 15% actual sugar, and the rest of it is water, fiber, enzymes, nutrients, all the extra stuff, the extra good stuff. We will talk about refined sugars versus unrefined sugars and its effect on the body more in depth in a later video. Smoking is a cause of inflammation, and so is stress, psychological stress. I'm sure you've noticed if you ever get super stressed out and super down in the dumps, you can get a headache just because of that, or also if you've been crying for a long period of time, you get a headache because of that as well. Irregular sleep patterns can also be the cause of inflammation, as well as our age. So really, this is a bunch of different things, and we can kind of zero in on a couple things that we can slightly improve that's going to help bring us to the next level. Leveling up means we have at least a little bit of a solution. So with that being said, you could have guessed it. Our focus today is going to be how diet and inflammation relate to each other. Right now, we're going to go through a few examples of how we can prevent and reduce how to take care of ourselves more as far as food goes and kicking out that inflammation. We were talking about in one of the last videos, focusing on small things that we are actually able to control gives us a better sense of being able to do that. So some of the things that we're able to control a little bit easier out of the list of causes: our diet, what we're putting into our body, and also our physical activity. So what are some of the foods that cause inflammation in the first place? And on the flip side, what are some of the foods that reduce inflammation, aka help those anti-inflammatory chemicals course through our veins? Refined carbohydrates like breads and pastas, they're one of the staples of almost every American diet, as well as refined sugars like pastries and cookies, cakes, all the things that we love. The vegetable oil we cook our fried foods in is one of the reasons that heart disease issues are a problem that people deal with today. Not only the refined sugars and pastries, also in the colored drinks that are being drank. You know, it's a good thing that our species is where they are, learning how detrimental some of these foods are to our bodies. The amount of knowledge we're gaining about nitrates and the effect on our bodies and minds is amazing. We're understanding more and more that red and processed meats throw our pH off track, which cause other bad bacteria to live in our body. And lastly, on the list of inflammation causers and artery cloggers is the bad fats that we find in margarine. To be frank, to think that we're going to switch out all of those things in one solid swoop is kind of absurd. We're more going to put a few things in that'll take up space, so we won't necessarily have the time to fit in those other things. There were a couple of questions about what to do for inflammation in the knees. Vitamin C is one of the best for joint health and even workout-related injuries. Thyme, of course, is another, and even cold compresses. And these are some of the foods that can help healing time and process. Vitamin C as well as lean protein are two of the most important elements to add to your joint and ligament regimens. And when in doubt, toss it all in a smoothie and you're good to go. Wild-caught salmon is an excellent example of lean meats, as well as meats that are 95% lean or more. And broccoli, surprisingly, contains a chemical called sulforaphane that aids in anti-inflammation, as the anthocyanins in cherries and grapes also join the rescue team. And finally, we get all the rave and love about the curcumin in turmeric. Add this slightly earthy spice to pretty much anything, and it adds that anti-inflammatory boost. Two nice things, sweet and savory. So for our smoothie lovers out there, we can do a vitamin C packed smoothie with things like strawberries, bananas, pineapple, blueberries as well, spinach. Put some turmeric in there for that extra anti-inflammatory boost, and even some hemp seed for some protein. And then for all of our savory breakfast people out there, we can do something like eggs mixed with spinach and a really hefty side of broccoli, peppers, and onions, or green beans, peppers, and onions mixed together, and serve that with a side of lean protein and a tall glass of orange juice. And the coolest thing about that is we can even do it opposite and make a very savory morning smoothie. And in the same turn, we can make a super sweet breakfast instead of a savory breakfast. So something more like a vitamin C packed oatmeal that also has iron and protein in it. And we can do a more savory smoothie, such as a dense maca root powder smoothie that also still has heavy anti-inflammatory properties by adding some turmeric and even some ginger. Water intake and keeping our bodies hydrated is definitely going to play a pretty big part in the healing process and the healing time for whatever inflammation we're dealing with. One good thing we can do is add a half of a lemon to 16 ounces of water, and that'll give our water a vitamin C 1-2 punch. Knowing all of this, now is a great time to ask any questions that you may have thought of throughout the video. Also, comment down below some of your favorite vitamin C packed foods and drinks. What are some of your favorite spices, or even some of your favorite dishes that you want healthy alternatives for? Remember to like and subscribe to this video and my channel to learn more every week and get more minds on this truth, so we can begin and continue to take more control. In order to heal, our body needs lots of resources, and our cells, they regenerate. Our resources don't regenerate though. We need to consume those. Quality and consistency, starting with little baby steps.